On today's episode, we're going to talk about some great and fun films you can watch while being in lockdown. I want to tell you my favorite German and American films that you can take advantage of and watch while you're practicing social distancing. Hallöchen Lieblings, I'm Mari, science fiction and fantasy author who's been living in southern Germany since 2014. Today we're going to talk about stories through a visual medium, of course, and I figured as a storyteller, in quotes, I would, talk about my favorite ones. I did some research because I wanted to pick movies, for example, German films that you can find on American sites, as well as American films that you can find on German sites. Because, I have a huge list of, for example, with German films that I absolutely love, but unfortunately, you can't really find them in the States, which is very unfortunate because you guys are missing out. And vice versa. And just so you know, all these films I have linked in the description below where you can find it, whether it is through Amazon.com, Amazon Deutschland, Disney Plus, Netflix US, or Netflix Deutschland. But before we get started, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell if you haven't already. Here on Adventures of Lamari, we talk about writing, living abroad, and everything in between. So let's get on with the list. Number 1, The Lives of Others. The German title is Das Leben der Anderen. This Oscar-winning thriller for Best Foreign Language Film in 2006 tells the erotic story of an East German couple whose every intimate moment is being monitored by the secret police, hoping to learn information that could destroy their lives. This is the first German film I have ever watched. I saw this while I was studying German in college, and my professor had recommended it, and oh my word, did it earn its Oscar. I highly recommend it. Number 2, Welcome to Germany. The German title is Willkommen bei den Hartmanns. The recently retired teacher Angelika decides against her skeptical husband Richard's will to take in a refugee. Soon afterwards, the young Nigerian Diallo moves into the Hartmann home, and a whirlwind of complications ensue. Despite all the chaos, hope prevails that the family will recover its stability, confidence, and peace, like the rest of Germany. This movie came out in 2016, about a year after the Syrian refugee crisis, when Germany took in over 1 million refugees. It's kind of a light-hearted commentary on the differing opinions in Germany concerning the topic, and I personally enjoyed it. I found it very heartwarming. I highly recommend it. Number 3, Goodbye Lenin. German title, well, it's the same. When his socialist mom comes out of a coma, Alex Kerner does everything he can to convince her that the Berlin Wall hasn't fallen. But the only thing he knows about the party is how to throw one. I am a huge Daniel Brühl fan. He is half Spanish, half German, and speaks English, Spanish, and German fluently. And so can I. And it's also my plan that my husband and my future children will be as well. So I kind of see him as like a kindred spirit. So yeah, I'm just a huge fan of his work. Also, as an American, I personally find like movies that have to do with this period in German history about the two states, East and West Germany, I find it absolutely fascinating because I am very much outside of this cultural difference. And so it's kind of the same at looking at the North and South in the U.S. and how it's different, and how even it's been like 150 years since the Civil War and there's still a difference. So I'm really interested in seeing how the relationship between the two former sides are continuing like this journey. So yeah, I highly recommend it. Number 4, Deutschland 83. The German title is the same, of course, but of course it's Deutschland 83, but whatever. A gripping coming-of-age story and spy thriller set in Germany in the 80s. So this isn't a movie, it's a TV show, and this movie is about an East German spy who infiltrated West Germany in 1983, thus the name. It's another quote-unquote window into the world of the DDR, the Deutsche Demokratische Republik. And honestly, this show is worth watching for the soundtrack alone. Holy moly. My husband and I love the music. And we even have a playlist dedicated to the show. Like, it's just so good. The second season is called Deutschland 86 because it takes place 3 years later. And in our opinion, it's not necessarily as good as the first season, but I still recommend it. And number 5 is Dark. German name, also Dark. A family saga with a supernatural twist set in a German town where the disappearance of two young children exposes the relationships among four families. It is the aesthetic of the film is dark, just like the show. It's a fascinating show. And it is, if you're into time travel and very complicated storylines, this story is very much for you. And also, the theme song is super haunting. My husband really, really loves this show, and it's one of the few that I've seen him rewatch, just because yes, the storyline is super complex and complicated, but he really, it's great. It's a great show. All right, so hopefully, like I said, these are films that. There's a huge list of other German films that some of them I even like more than what's in this list, but these are the ones that I know you can find in the US, and I do like them, so I very much recommend them. So definitely check it out. So now let's go on to the list of my favorite American movies that you can find through the German streaming services. Now these are films, I'm going not with Blockbuster, because we all know the Blockbuster ones, they arrive in Germany as well. So, we're gonna, if you have your favorites of those, that's great. But I also really prefer the quieter, sleepy films. So let's go through these. Number 1, The Fall. There is no German title. The unlikely friendship between a 5-year-old girl and a Hollywood stuntman creates a dazzling world of magic and myth, changing both their lives forever. This is my all-time favorite movie. It is one of the most beautiful films I have ever seen, and it's 99% of what you see is real. This film took director Tarsem Singh 4 years to produce, and he filmed it in about 24 different countries, and oh my word, it is stunning. Number 2, Das Geheimnis der verwunschenen Hölle. I hope I pronounced that right. But the original title is Darby O'Gill and the Little People. A wily old codger matches wits with the king of the leprechauns and helps play matchmaker for his daughter and the strapping lad who has replaced him as caretaker. First off, this movie is actually available on Disney Plus, for those of you who have it. And this was a favorite film from my childhood, and the very reason why I started playing the violin when I was 12. It's also one of Sean Connery's first films, and it's really weird and trippy, period, but I still highly recommend it, and even for children, it's so much fun. The whole bit with the fox chase, watching Darby play his fiddle, yes. Honestly, the reason why I started playing the violin, because I wanted to learn play that song. Unfortunately, as I got older, I realized it was an orchestra playing, not Darby by himself. So that kind of shattered my illusion. But whatever, I recommend it. Number 3, Ed Wood. There is no German title, it's the same. Because of his eccentric habits and baffling, strange films, director Edward D. Wood Jr. is a Hollywood outcast. Nevertheless, with the help of the formerly famous Bela Lugosi and a devoted cast and crew of show business misfits who believe in Ed's off-kilter vision, the filmmaker is able to bring his oversized dreams to cinematic life, despite a lack of critical or commercial success. Ed and his friends managed to create an oddly enduring series of extremely low-budget films. Now, this movie is the lesser-known Tim Burton film. So if you like Tim Burton as a storyteller, you will like this. It doesn't match the same aesthetics as a lot of his other films, like Edward Scissorhands or Sweeney Todd or Beetlejuice, but I think it's actually one of his best films. And actually, in the entire cast, I think it's also one of Johnny Depp's best films. So go ahead, go for it. Number 4, König der Fische. Original title is The Fisher King. A former radio DJ, suicidally despondent because of a terrible mistake he made, finds redemption in helping a deranged homeless man who was an unwitting victim of that mistake. This movie was directed by former Monty Python alum Terry Gilliam, and it's a beautiful movie with an unforgettable performance by the late Robin Williams. I've always felt that some of the best dramas I have seen have been performed by comedians like Williams or Will Ferrell, and sometimes Adam Sandler, because they bring that comedic timing to their performance that adds another layer of complexity. This movie, it's gonna tear at your heartstrings, so you may need to have tissues when you're watching it. Number 5, Der Dunkelkristall. The original title, The Dark Crystal. Another planet, another time. 1,000 years ago, the mysterious Dark Crystal was damaged by one of the Urskex, and an age of chaos has begun. The evil race of grotesque bird-like lizards, the Skeksis, gnomish dragons who rule their fantastic planet with an iron claw. Meanwhile, orphan Jen, raised in solitude by a race of peace-loving wizards called the Mystics, embark on a quest to find the missing shard of the Dark Crystal, which gives the Skeksis their power and restore the balance to the universe. This movie is also another favorite from my childhood, and the evil Skeksis absolutely gave me nightmares when I was a kid. And to this day, my mother still does not understand why I kept wanting to watch this film when I was little. But it is a story that has shaped my now very overactive imagination. I also thought this movie was worth mentioning because Jim Henson's inspiration for the film was the original fairy tales by Brothers Grimm. Those stories originated here in Germany. He was quoted wanting to, quote-unquote, get back to the darkness of the original stories. He thought children needed to also experience the darkness of storytelling, which is why the aesthetic is so grim. But it's such a fantastic film. And if you are a huge fan and haven't seen the prequel TV show on Netflix, The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance, you should stop watching my show right now and go watch it. I'll forgive you. It's okay. You can stop watching. So what about you? What are your favorite movies or TV shows? I would love to know because, you know, my husband and I are currently watching Ozark right now, and we're actually going to be like starting the 3rd season soon, and there are only 3 seasons. So yeah, we're going to need a new list soon. So definitely give me some recommendations in the comments below. I would love to know. What do you think of my list? What do you guys think of these films? Are you also a fan of these films? Have you even heard of them? Please let me know. I really want your opinion on this thing. And that's it. So thanks for joining me. If you're new here, please consider subscribing and give this video a like because it lets me and YouTube know you like content like this and you want to see more. Definitely leave me a comment if you have any questions, comments, or topics you'd like to see on this channel. Leave them in the comments below. The God Queen is available in both ebook and paperback. I have all the links for the book in the description below. And don't forget to connect with me on social media, whether it is through Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. And that's it for today. Until next time, ade!